Hey everybody, Sean Hamel here with another episode of the Origins Podcast. And today I have a good friend of mine. Jason, we've been friends for a while now.
Yeah.
Jason McAninch with McAninch. I've never
Yeah.
said your last name. I just always say
No, that's
Jason or the
that's all good.
IT nerd dude.
Yeah.
But Jason McAninch with Kaizen Dental Technology. Jason, how are you, brother?
Doing good, man. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it's awesome. We've been talking about doing this for, 2 years now. So
I
I'm
know. It's
glad you
glad that
were
we finally,
glad
I'm
you were
glad our
finally
schedules.
available.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I know you and I have known each other for a long time, but just kind of tell people a little bit about what you do and what Kaizen's doing right now, helping dental practices all over the country.
Yeah, so I started the company about 15 years ago with kind of the goal of just helping people was how I started. And I was really good at IT at the time. Saw that there was really a need in the dental industry, that there was kind of just a niche that wasn't really being filled by most IT companies. A lot of IT companies were just running away from medical practices at the time, just because there's so much specialized knowledge, so much in-depth things. Patient care kind of scares people, I think, sometimes. So I kind of learned just the ins and outs of how it worked, really fell in love with it and helping people, and just saw really what a difference technology makes for practices when it's used properly and efficiently. They can streamline and just grow and help more patients and see more people. But I got started, yeah, in Kansas City. And in the last several years, we've grown nationwide, which has been really fun. It's been a different experience than I would have expected starting. My original goal was just to kind of start in Kansas and Missouri, and then now we've got, I think, 15 or 16 states now that we help practices in. So it's been really fun to grow.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's been fun to
Yeah.
watch you guys grow too. And I know, we've obviously hang out and stuff outside of work and things, but it's been really cool to see your growth. And I remember when we first connected, gosh, I think it was like 2021, maybe something
Yeah, I
like
think it
that.
was. Yeah.
I remember you were saying, "Oh yeah, we're just going to be Kansas and Missouri." So it's been funny now to see you like flying to like Vermont and all this stuff that you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we're going all over all the time. It's been fun. And doctors share a name, which is kind of cool too. We don't really, it's kind of just grown organically that way. So it's been really fun though.
Yeah, and how I know we've talked about this, but it's been a while. How did you get started in IT? Like, what was it about IT that drew you into it being a career path?
Yeah, so it's kind of really, to be honest, it's kind of become part of my identity over the years. When I was a kid, IT just came like kind of second nature to me. So when I was a little kid, I was in, I think, seventh grade when I started my first business, maybe eighth grade. And I started building computers for people in my small town I grew up in. And then Gateway and Dell, of course, kind of put me out of business because they offered financing. I was just a kid, so I couldn't do that. So kind of pivoted to just started doing tech supply in high school and started my own business, ran that for a number of years while I went to college and everything. But I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always knew I wanted to help people because I always felt like, we only get one life. So it's like I kind of wanted to go all in and I could make the biggest impact by starting my own business. And so that's kind of what always drove me to it. I was really good at IT. I've had to learn how to be a business owner as we've grown
Right. Yeah.
and how to
Right.
be a leader. But that's been parts that I think that's how everybody starts. We get started with something
Hmm.
because we're good at a certain thing. But no, I've always just enjoyed IT. It just has always kind of come natural to me to solve problems. But I've always been told I'm kind of a unicorn as an IT person because I can actually talk to people, and that's been difficult to staff and to grow because all of my team members are phenomenal.
Hmm.
But I've went through some people that it was like talking to a brick wall, and that's the stereotypical IT.
Hmm.
So that's where we've built a really cool thing that's unlike most IT companies.
And how did you spin into dental?
So really, I got started in it kind of almost by accident. I had one person, that doctor, that got me involved in it. Just kind of had me look at his IT that he had had somebody else set him up, and we kind of noticed that there was just a lot of inefficiencies. The practice was running into like constant glitches. So I kind of just figured that out, and then he kind of shared my name to people. And then I just kind of took the time to learn the industry. I think a lot of people are looking for a quick sale. And I was more like, I want the long game. I want to solve these people's problems. I wasn't looking at it as a profitable thing. It took a really long time to really get involved into the industry we're in, over a decade easily, that I just kind of had to keep pounding the pavement until it took off. But But yeah, it was really just by accident. It took the one doctor kind of just having me come look at his stuff, and I just saw like, wow, there's really no one in Kansas City at the time. There was nobody in Kansas City that really knows what to do, and what do these people like? There's no one really to lean on for this. So it was kind of we were I was at the right place at the right time, kind of filled that void. Some of the equipment reps used to do IT, and then they got out of it because it started. IT used to be such a closed thing, and now it's so involved and so intricate that you really do need a specialized company to manage stuff nowadays. But for a long time, doctors kind of got away with just either doing it themselves or having a family member do it. And now that's just not the case. It's a full-time job for sure now.
It's so funny listening to you. Just, I mean, I know our origin stories were similar and accidentally falling into this. The desire to do a good job, the desire to help people, being able to communicate, not necessarily being a salesperson, because there are so many salespeople in dental that are just here to make money. They really aren't here to make an impact or make practices better. But also just everything like, you probably shouldn't have your cousin's best friend's sister's neighbor do your marketing anymore, right? So it's
Yep,
just funny all
same.
the overlap. But
Yeah.
with IT stuff too, I mean, I know, with AI, all the tech and everything that's coming, IT, especially having a partner in IT, I mean, the days of having like obscure email addresses, like help at whatever company name.com or 800 numbers where you're waiting for a callback for days, especially for dental practices, high revenue generating small businesses, it really makes sense to consider at least finding a smaller partner or maybe more of a regional partner even, because it is such a sensitive thing and it can get you into such an expensive and difficult situation to get out of if there's like spyware or any of that stuff that we've seen happen, any of the violations and things like that with HIPAA and all that stuff that's out there. I mean, I see violations with ADA and HIPAA all the time, just with how emails are structured, how
Hmm.
websites are built, the things that they're missing. And these dental marketing companies are charging premiums and they're leaving these practices open for lawsuits. Do you see a lot of stuff like that in the IT side? And do you agree that maybe kind of what's helping you grow so much is just doctors want that added touch and added level of service?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really what makes us like we're still a small company and we'll never lose touch of that. We're never going to be a massive corporation. That's not my goal. That's not my end game. I obviously want to help as many practices as I can, but I think that's where a lot of IT companies, there's a lot of mergers and acquisitions in the dental space, the DSO space, the IT, same thing, private equity companies. And when that all happens, I feel like the personal touch leaves. And I've seen it firsthand with a lot of companies. But yes, we have most every client that we onboard, they are still using like a generic Yahoo account or Hotmail or Gmail, which obviously is not HIPAA compliant. So part of our onboarding process is a little more thorough than the average IT company. We actually do bring them to that baseline standard that they need to be operating at already. About 95% of the time, they're not anywhere near that when we take them on as a client. That's one thing that really sets us apart is we go through and help streamline that side of stuff to make it work better. We've also made it a lot more efficient. So like our email system, for example, we prefer Office 365 or G Suite, but we have an email encryption that just works phenomenally. It just does everything. You don't have to worry about it. You just send your email like you've always sent your email from your iPad, iPhone, computer, and it encrypts and does everything to the HIPAA compliant standard. So that's where we're a lot different. A lot of IT people don't necessarily understand dentistry. So a lot of the IT standards that are best practice in IT literally do not work in dentistry. So
Mm.
that's where like it's very different, and you have to kind of be able to custom tailor to the practice. Email encryption is one of them. Like we have a lot of people that are using such a complicated email. I have one that we onboarded that every email she sent me, if I went to open it, I had to like go get a code just to read a normal email. I'm like, this is so annoying. And
Oh,
they
I
were
hate
dealing with
that.
that.
Yeah, I
That's
hate
just
that.
the worst. It's like such a crazy way to do it. And so that's what we have really went in and kind of refined all the different systems that you need to be effective and efficient in a practice and compliant, and just make it a lot more user friendly. I'm really big on user friendly. So I want it to be where it doesn't require like 3 days of training to understand how to use a computer or the software. So that's why we try to do a lot of things, harness automation, harness just all the different, AI even is really helpful in dentistry now. And there's a lot of really cool tools for doctors or back end staff to use for like insurance verification, just all kinds of different things that weren't a thing before. So you see a lot of dentist offices using third party vendors now than they ever used to. So they can outsource all kinds of stuff because of technology, and we can kind of help get them to where those people can access their patient database and help just streamline all of those things. So they don't necessarily have to staff their staff with people that do all of that kind of back end things, which is helpful.
That's awesome, man. And you said something earlier that I kind of want to shift back to. When you were talking about kind of your journey, you'd mentioned that you had to learn to be a business owner, and I know that that's a struggle. It was a struggle for me. It still is a struggle for me.
Yeah.
But I know that it's a struggle for a lot of doctors too. Kind of, and again, you and I know each other off camera, so I know some of this, but I want people to hear your story. Obviously, can you talk a little bit about like what the growing pains were? Like, when did you know it was time to be like, hey, I need to become a business owner? Was it when you hit a certain revenue goal? Was it when you were having like recurring problems with clients, when you were having problems with employees? Like, what was that kind of moment for you where you were like, okay, I really need to take this step? Because I think a lot of doctors, it seems like they kind of either don't work with consultants and they kind of self do it, or they're like consultant overload and they have a new consultant like every year. They have somebody new,
Yeah.
or they have multiple consultants at one time.
Yeah.
What was it? Kind of a multi-part question. What was it that was kind of your trigger of like, hey, I need to focus on this? And then what were some of the steps that you took, as a business owner to go that way?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have learned a lot in the last several years, especially. Being an entrepreneur is you learn something new every day. What I think the biggest thing for me, the turning point for me, was when we started growing like really rapidly. Like there were times a couple years ago, we were onboarding 4 to 5 practices a week, which is super unnormal for an IT company. Most are lucky if they get 3 or 4 a quarter. And here we were, just growing like massive. And so I never wanted our quality to diminish. So that's when I started hiring people, and I had to really take my time finding good talent and training and building our systems. Because I think that's where even dentists see this, like, you can't really replicate yourself. Everyone wants to do business with Kaizen because they know Jason. And that's where
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of had to differentiate myself to where it's my team, and my team's phenomenal. So I literally, to say that all the time, I have the best team ever. So I think the biggest thing was I had to start doing training and building out SOPs and documentation, and it's a daunting task, honestly. I mean, we work on it every day, but it's a really, I think that's what sets you up for success ultimately, is if you can somehow figure out a way to replicate yourself. And so with IT, it's hard because I've been doing this so long that we always joke that we need to just like hook me up to like they can extract my brain, because I can remember stuff from like I've been in a practice like 10 years ago, and they're like, oh yeah, there's this thing on this random shelf in the IT closet. And they're like, how do you remember that? And it's just, I don't know. I don't know how my brain works, but that's what we're trying to figure out, is how to replicate myself basically. But that was the biggest turning point for me, was when we started hiring staff. And staffing is the hardest part of any business, I feel like, especially in dentistry. It's, you're taking care of patients. People are upset usually because they've waited way too long to deal with the cavity that's now turned into a root canal or whatever. And so it's having that kind of person that can be really patient with somebody, even when they're frustrated, because technology is very frustrating when it doesn't work right.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we've all become almost slaves to technology without realizing it in the last decade. I mean, people don't even know how to talk to each other without technology now. So it's a challenge to constantly keep it all running, perfectly all the time. And so I think that was kind of the biggest thing though for me, was like when we grew, just kind of trying to replicate myself and not grow too fast. I wasn't necessarily chasing the money. I'm always been the kind of person that I just take care of people, and then
Mm-hmm.
all the rest of it falls in line. So, which has been
Yeah,
really good.
you're like the Chick-fil-A of IT.
Yeah, that's
I know
true.
I
We
always
really
give you
are.
crap about that, but
Yeah.
you're like the Chick-fil-A of IT. All of my clients that use you obviously love you.
Yeah.
Shout out Dr. Kisling if she's out there.
Yeah.
Shout out. But it's funny that you're talking about like hooking you up and like wiring your brain in or whatever. Because my next
Yeah.
question actually was going to be, the AI discussion. I know we've talked about it offline. Where do you see AI going? Where do you see it being beneficial? And where do you see it maybe opening new vulnerability? Because it's another pathway of people to get access to manipulate things.
Yeah.
Where do you see AI going with regard to just dentistry in general?
Yeah, in dentistry, I think I can see it being very helpful for like getting to be to some people I know are using it for like lead gen, for example, because patients are usually looking at dentistry after hours. So they're browsing websites and social media. And if you're not having somebody to grab those leads, like people want to either talk to a person or they want to chat with somebody like at their convenience, not at the office's convenience. So that's where I've seen really good success. Some of our practices are introducing it into their websites to where they're getting a call in real time, getting something scheduled over the phone, harnessing technology to where it ties into their practice management and they can book an appointment right then and there. That's the kind of stuff I see it really helpful. Insurance verification. I've even seen it, a couple people where it will hold your place in lines because insurance companies, you're notoriously on hold for 2 or 3 hours at a time before you speak to a human. So there are some companies even doing that part. They put the robot on hold for you until somebody is becoming available, and then they transfer it to you so you can actually be more efficient with your day. You're not just sitting on hold all day. So I see a lot of really cool things. Unfortunately, from the technology side, I also see people misusing it already. There's a lot of people that are using AI to clone your voice, to make it sound like you. So there's even people where, people will do that to your kids. Like if they'll take a video that you posted to social media with your kid's voice and, harness it to sound like they've been kidnapped. I've heard of all kinds of crazy stuff. But we've even done this where we have we've seen this coming for years with AI. And what we did years ago, we have phone support, but we do not take live calls with our clients. We make them leave a message with our. We actually have an AI receptionist that takes the calls and logs into our ticketing system. We do that for a reason because we want to be able to verify that this is a real person. As we've grown, we actually still do know all of our doctors personally, even though we have grown a massive amount. But what I see people use it already in other IT companies is they're calling saying, I'm so and so, I lost my password access. I'm traveling internationally. I need to get
Mm-hmm.
into my email. And if you are just a regular IT, company like a huge corporation, you don't know your clients. And so you'll just reset that person's password because they called in and verified. And they're right there, then somebody's compromised somebody's email. So that's kind of why we have dropped the phone side. We actually built a chat system that's proprietary to us. So every client that we onboard, we put a little chat app on their computer. They can chat with us live. That's kind of how we stay ahead of the curve with this because we know if someone's chatting with us, they're an onboarded member of our software and they're in the practice. We're actually able to verify that before we even do anything, which is really helpful. But yes, AI is a phenomenal tool. I think it's great. I unfortunately with all good, there's always the yin and yang to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's kind of how we stay ahead of the curve with it. But it is a super powerful tool. It's such a buzzword in the world right now. So
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy to me. But I've seen even doctors like touching on just getting like there's Pearl, for example, that does the second opinion for doctors. It's been really helpful for people, especially when they're first starting out. Doctors don't necessarily have the experience that like somebody that's been doing it for 20, 30 years. So being
Mm-hmm.
able to use AI for, second opinions of stuff for different patient care is pretty cool too, I think. So
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, awesome and terrifying at the same time. It's awesome the
I know.
solutions that you built around it, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just crazy. And I'm not a huge fan of it in the marketing world just because patient experience is everything. But
Yeah,
we
it
won't
is.
go into that today. But cool, man. Where are the dogs at? Jason has two dogs that are basically like humans that rule his estate.
They do. Yes. I have two little French bulldogs. They are sleeping, thankfully. I'm glad no one can hear them snoring
Tank's
because they
asleep
are,
too.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad nobody can hear them snoring because they are very loud when they snore. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Jason's dog Tank is, I think in his former life, he was in like the Secret Service or something because Tank thinks he's like the toughest thing ever and he's like as
Yeah,
big as a football.
he is. I know it's pretty funny.
And he talks smack to every dog that walks by your house. And he's a gangster, but that's why we like Tank. And
Yeah, he is.
where's the bright colored shirts, man? Usually you're
I
rocking the
know.
polos. I mean, I wore bright
Yeah.
colors because I thought you were wearing bright colors.
I know. I should have.
And
I
you
have
coming
a
all
lime
muted.
green. I know. I'm
You
like,
coming
this
all
one's my
muted
paint
professional.
splatter one. So yeah.
Yeah, if you see
Yeah.
Jason at events, he always has the most interesting polo shirts that you probably have seen in your life. I don't know where you
Yeah.
shop, dude, but they're legit. Most of them are.
I am guilty of Instagram ads, unfortunately. So I get some good ones. They get me. They
Well,
just know my style, and I'm like, add to cart.
Zuckerberg got you, man. He's
Yeah.
selling you some
Yeah.
polos.
I know. Yeah.
Well, brother, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks so much. Excited for you, obviously, and wishing you nothing but success. Really cool to see what Kaizen's doing. And hopefully we'll have you back on talking about IT stuff more regular here. So thanks again
Yeah.
for coming on,
Definitely.
bro.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to be here. So thanks, man.
All right, buddy. Take care.